to, before or after the pledge? After? Huh? Okay.
Am I in the right one? Am I in the right one? Who's missing here?
Bob. That's you. Am I in the wrong one? I'm in the wrong one? Am I in the wrong one? Yes. Oh.
You're all right.
I'm just used to sitting by you.
Oh, I forgot my glasses. We'll start with one.
You have 2 minutes.
Where's my glasses?
Are you okay?
No, I'm totally dropped up. Did you guys play North County?
We did. We
Did you
lost.
win?
We lost
What was the
twice.
score?
5-3 and then 2-1 or 2-3.
Still close.
Yeah, it was errors on our end and
Were the parents nice and pleasant?
yeah,
Oh, good.
yeah. It wasn't too bad. Over there it was a little bit of chirping, but here it was very peaceful.
I'm a mess, dude. I've had no sleep for like 2 days.
Did you work today?
No, I was at freaking the doctor from 8 to 1.
What?
Oh, so what time is it? 2 minutes.
Recording in progress.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Welcome to the City of Greenfield Planning Commission regular meeting on April Fool's Day. Can we have roll call, please?
Chair Garcia,
Here.
Vice Chair Urquidez, Commissioner Zavala,
Here.
Commissioner Gallardo, Commissioner Mendoza.
Here.
May I please have a motion to excuse Vice Chair Urquidez?
I make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for that. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Zavala? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for that. Are there any changes to the agenda or comments from staff at this time?
Yes, we would like to request to pull item 1 from the public hearings.
Okay. So we're going to pull item 1. Do I need to name it? Okay. All right, moving on. Are there any public comments from the audience regarding items not on the agenda?
No public comment.
Thank you. Consent agenda contains 2 items, the adoption of the March 3rd, 2025 Planning Commission meeting minutes and receive monthly report for March.
I make a motion.
I have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
I'm gonna abstain from this since I wasn't here.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, there is nothing under business items, so we'll go straight into public hearings. Our first public hearing is recommending to the City Council adoption of an ordinance amending Chapter 17.10, identification and responsibilities of designated planning agencies, and Chapter 2.20, planning agency of the Greenfield Municipal Code. We have a staff report, please.
Good evening, Chair Garcia and Planning Commission. I'll be presenting this item. This first item are some relatively minor amendments to the zoning code, mostly with respect to how planning commissioners are appointed. So as you'll recall, the City Council discussed this item at several City Council meetings and ultimately decided on a new process to appoint planning commissioners, or at least a refined process. And so the changes to the code are to codify those changes. Any change to Chapter 17, which is the zoning code, needs to be considered by the Planning Commission before it goes to the City Council, and so that's why this is before you today. The primary change is that when a planning commissioner who is currently serving, when their term is ending and they would like to serve another term, they're required to submit a letter to the city clerk by November 15th of the year that their term is ending. And the City Council will then consider these letters and reappoint the commissioner at the first meeting in December, if they so choose. If the planning commissioner doesn't want to serve another term or doesn't submit a letter by November 15th, then the city clerk or the planning director will solicit applications to fill the seat from the community, and the City Council will still consider appointment at the first meeting in December. And then in addition, there's a couple of other minor changes that were made. One, to conform with state law. So there's previously all votes by the Planning Commission required a majority vote of those present, where resolutions require a majority vote of the seated commissioners, so 3 out of 5, even if less than 5 are present. So we updated that language. And then we also changed the area from which planning commissioners can be appointed. So previously it said that if they lived within 1 mile of the city limits, where we modified that to be if they live within the city's sphere of influence. And with that, I can answer any questions you might have.
Any initial questions?
Yeah, I thought the first item on the agenda was public hearing for that building.
We pulled it. Our staff pulled it, yeah.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that. Never mind. When did that happen?
Like 5 minutes ago.
I guess I wasn't here then.
You were.
I was?
Yeah, watch the video later.
Okay, my bad.
So hearing no initial comments, we'll open the public hearing on this. Any public comments from the audience or online or email?
No public comments.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Move on to Planning Commission discussion and decision.
So this is still going to go to City Council?
Correct, it'll go next week.
It looks like it reflects all of our input that we had at the previous meetings, to me. Any other?
No comment for me.
May I ask why the first item was pulled?
We'll all come back to that after because we're doing a public hearing on this item. So let me
Okay,
close out this
okay.
item and then we'll do that. So are there any input as to this item of ordinance 17.10?
So staff just makes a recommendation, right? There's no motion or anything like that?
Well, you're making a motion to recommend the ordinance be approved by the city council.
I make a motion to recommend the ordinance to city council.
We have a motion to recommend. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And then to answer Commissioner Gallardo's question, he should speak with the planning director outside of the meeting if you'd like to know why the item was pulled. Because it's no longer on the agenda, it can't be discussed in the public meeting.
All right.
Thank you for clarifying that. So our third public hearing is the consideration of a resolution recommending that the city council adopt an ordinance repealing chapter 17.90 of the Greenfield Municipal Code and adopting a new ordinance in its place. Staff report?
Yes, this is a entire revision of the city's ADU ordinance. So as you're likely aware, ADU law is continuously changing. And the last time that the city's ordinance was updated was in 2018. And since that time, there's been a whole slew of laws that have changed the way that ADUs are approved. So the purpose of this revision is to make sure that the city's ordinance is compliant with state law. Even if you didn't update this ordinance, the city would still be required to comply with state law. So really the purpose of updating the ordinance is to make it clear to the community what the requirements are. So I'm not gonna, well, I can go through any part of the ordinance that you'd like. I didn't intend to go through every word because it is entirely brand new, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about it, or if there's a particular area you'd like me to talk about, I can do that too.
Okay, thank you for that. Does anybody have any initial questions for staff on this item before we go out to the public?
What would be the most significant changes that are involved?
Well, one change that occurred just effective January 1st, 2025 it was minor in the state law in that it was the change of one sentence, but it actually dramatically changed what types of ADUs have to be ministerially approved. And so there are 4 types of ADUs and JADUs that pretty much no matter what, with few exceptions or no exceptions that I can think of, the city is required to approve at the staff level. And in the past, there was a little bit more just ability to set requirements on those types of ADUs, whether it was setbacks or size or different things like that. And with the change of just a few words in the state law, it made it to where these types of ADUs generally have to be approved. So that was one big change. I would say that's the main one. Is there a particular topic you're interested in? No? Okay.
Does that streamline the process of approval from?
There's always been, or not always, but for quite a while, there's been a requirement that the city approve them within, I believe it's 30 days, although I might be 60. I don't have that memorized. But so the time within which the city has to approve them hasn't changed recently.
And I don't remember, maybe I'm wrong here, but I thought the process from beginning to end was about 8 months. Is that something totally different?
Well,
Or what am I
when you
thinking?
mean from beginning to end, do you mean from like approval to construction?
Yes.
Or that could be. We're just talking about approval of the entitlement. So basically you say, yes, you can build this, and then they have to still get building permits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, after that.
So, local agencies are still able to impose objective standards or not?
Yes, as long as they are objective and they are documented, in writing. So they would have to be in the city's code or in some other adopted document.
And do you know, are we gonna have a set of approved models or plans?
I,
Yeah, touch on that really quickly. Staff is currently working on securing a consulting service for that. So they have some pre-approved plans that have been adopted by neighboring cities. And we think they're a good match for this city, so we'll move forward with adopting those as it is required. And yeah, so it's in the process, and we're happy to share those with you once they're finalized.
Which cities did you look at?
These are the ones originally created by City of Salinas and adopted by Gonzales, King City, and Soledad.
Okay. Any other? Okay, so I'll open the public hearing for public comment. Did I do that already? I'm sorry. Okay. Are there any public comments?
Yes.
Yes?
Laura?
Good evening, Laura, Samsung.
Good day. Quick question regarding the AD units. Know that, it's really convenient for some of us homeowners to have AD units on our property. However, city is giving permits left and right, and we still have a parking problem. I think there has to be a little bit more control because it's not really being enforced on the whole parking situation. They're not really demanding on the parking. I live on a corner lot, and I'm getting neighbors with AD units, and now those people are parking on my side. I know it's public street. However, it is kind of annoying, especially right now. Nobody is helping me clean my sidewalk. They tend to leave trash. I even had a neighbor from 4 or 5 houses up north of mine and coming to leave because it was on an alley. They came and left their garbage cans on front of my house because the owner had blocked the halfway of the AD unit on the back. So city's not really controlling on all of this stuff that's happening, and it's kind of frustrating. So I think there needs to be a little bit more control on issuing permits. Thank you.
Thank you for the comment. Any other public comments? Okay, with that, I'll close the public hearing and move to Planning Commission discussion and decision. I don't know if staff wants to address that latest public comment, but my understanding is these are all adopted Senate bills, which creates laws, and they're removing a lot of local jurisdiction power to enforce that. As a matter of fact, SB 1211, which was passed in 2024, was an amendment that eliminated replacement parking for new ADUs. So, with respect for the ADU being built, we can't impose that parking restriction anymore. That doesn't negate code enforcement from doing that, but as far as it being built and trying to say that the parking is going to impact your house or your neighborhood, that's all being taken away.
That's right. I mean, there are some parking requirements in the ADU ordinance, but what's in here is the maximum that the city is allowed to impose based on state law.
Yeah. Any other?
Yeah, well, I was talking to some merchant the other day, well, last week actually, and it was in regards to ADUs, right? And that was one of his biggest complaints about them is that when you add another family into that particular house, you're gonna have more parking issues. And we all know, we've all discussed it in the past, parking here in Greenfield is at a premium. But I told him there's nothing we can do about it. And then he went on and he started complaining about ADUs should be just for families, that they shouldn't be rented out to general public. I told him there was nothing we could do about that. I said, go to the meeting and voice your concerns, and he told me where to go, so I didn't want to go there, so I'm here.
Well, at this point, it's above us, it's at the state level, so those complaints need to go up to Sacramento if you want to make changes to that. Any other comments or discussion items? If not, we have a proposed motion on page 35.
I move that the planning commission adopt resolution 2025-04, recommending that the city council adopt an ordinance repealing chapter 17.90 of the Greenfield Municipal Code related to accessory dwelling units and adopt a new ordinance in its place, considering state required modifications and submitting the ordinance to the State Housing and Community Development Department for review.
Thank you for that. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. We have nothing under other business, and we are at comments from Planning Commission and staff. Anything from staff? Anything from commission? Well, I want to report that we all attended the Planning Commission thing in Santa Rosa. It was very informative. And if you'd like to put on an agenda item, maybe we could go over some of the stuff that stood out to us. There was a lot of legislative changes. There was a thing on ADUs, and Ms. Thompson hosted one of the topics. It was well attended, lots of questions. So that's what I have. And it's nice to see the sidewalks going up on Walnut Avenue. I don't know if this is in our subject matter jurisdictions, but I noticed that they stop at the barrier. How are people going to cross to the other side from the off-ramp of 101? Is that barrier going to come out or make a pathway, or how's that going to work? Well, it's good to see the sidewalks.
It is long overdue.
Anybody else? Okay, meeting adjourned, 6:19.